So Don't Worry Darling creates a really intriguing premise, but the most frustrating thing of all is that it had so much potential to be really, really great, but unfortunately, it just goes down a very predictable road that we have seen 100 times before. What is up everybody, welcome back to my channel Lifestyle Critic. I hope you're having a brilliant day. So in this video we are going to be reviewing Don't Worry Darling, which is a psychological thriller movie produced and directed by Olivia Wilde and is now infamous for all of the drama that went on behind the scenes. For example, Olivia Wilde claiming that she fired Shia LaBeouf as he was really combative and really difficult on set, but he then released some video footage which actually proves that he quit and wasn't fired. And also there is apparently a lot of tension and a lot of massive arguments taking place between Olivia Wilde and lead actress Florence Pugh, which led to a Warner Brothers executive having to break the two of them up and also to renegotiate the promotion and publicity that Florence Pugh was going to do for the film. And then speaking of which, we of course have the other infamous incident at the Venice Film Festival with Harry Styles seemingly spitting on Chris Pine. So much craziness went on behind the scenes, but maybe it kind of worked for this film's favour. And as they say, any publicity can be good publicity. And you know, there is a decent film in there, but unfortunately it is just layered on top of some mixed performances, a truly predictable twist that you can see a mile off, and ultimately just a lot of unrealised and untapped potential, which you could argue is a little bit unforgivable. Now I'm going to be breaking all of that down and more in this movie review. So main characters Alice and Jack live a seemingly perfect suburban life in this small town called Victory in California, and then curiosity then overconsumes the Alice character as she begins to question everything, and then cracks seem to appear in this perfect utopian world as Alice and the audience really find out what's really going on. Now from a positives point of view, I have to say this movie does look at some really interesting themes. For example, control by a number of different players and controlling people and seemingly trying to justify this as well and taking away people's freedom, which is another really interesting theme that I know a number of other TV shows and movies have definitely looked at. But the real battle and the conflict between freedom and happiness, and which one does a person really want, especially when you merge this and the control factor and people's free will is taken away from them, then which one would they actually choose? It also looks at the role of men and women and how old-fashioned some people's perspectives of what this should look like is, and then a lot of abuse going on both physically, mentally and psychologically as well, which is just so fascinating. And also, you know, it does have a bit of an eerie thriller psychological vibe to it, and even though it is pretty far-fetched, it is actually pretty believable as well of the set design and the way in which all of the set pieces work together is really, really great, and the ensemble cast work together really, really well, and you can really tell that it has got a clear lead. And even though the twist absolutely could be 100 times better, they do explain everything and how everything had come to be that you see in this film. However, from a negatives point of view, this movie ultimately is a little bit unsatisfying, as you can tell and you can see a mile off where this movie is ultimately going to end up, and they just could have done so much more with this premise and really made it absolutely unforgettable, but instead they just went down a really conventional path that you have already seen 100 times before. And like I said, they just could have done something really brand new and something truly mind-blowing. And I do feel like if it wasn't for all of the crazy PR and publicity that was happening at the Venice Film Festival for this movie, then I think, you know, it would have been really, really forgettable. People wouldn't really be talking about it, and it really would have been as hollow as some of the characters' lives are in this movie. So from a storyline perspective, even though it did have some decent aspects in there and some truly frightening and interesting social commentary, I just feel like they could have and should have just made so much more of this opportunity and just made this movie so much better. So off-screen drama aside and script issues aside, I have to say from a casting characters point of view, Olivia Wilde really has brought it in this movie, as she has got a brilliant ensemble. So let's go through them one by one. So first up, of course, we have the phenomenal Florence Pugh, who absolutely kills it, quite literally, in this movie, as she is just absolutely excellent in this film and just carries it so well. If anything, you kind of feel like it is fully her movie, and that everybody else are just secondary supportive characters. As like I said, she just absolutely brought her A game, and you're really with her as she is questioning everything and exploring everything. And it pretty much is this character in every single scene of this movie. So like I said, she does such a good job carrying this movie, and you're totally with her. She is able to absolutely grab your heart, and you're totally empathetic with everything that she goes through. And just her acting ability is just so good. Like I said before, even though it is pretty far-fetched what's happening in this movie, mainly down to Florence Pugh's brilliant acting ability, you're just able to believe it and just be immersed into this world. Next up we have Harry Styles, and bless him, he did try, but he just wasn't able to deliver as good of a performance, of course, as everybody else, as the Jack character. I mean, he did try a lot, and credit where credit's due, he did a really good job in the final act of this movie, but he was just not experienced enough in his acting ability to really be at the same level as these other true professionals. I'm sure he'll get there one day if acting is his ultimate dream in the future, but I just feel like because he is such a phenomenal, successful pop star and is dating Olivia Wilde, and you know, he was given this lead character role, but I just think he needs to work on his acting abilities before he does another lead role, as the Jack character just needed so much more dimension and so many more layers. Like I said, even though the final act of this movie he does really come into his own, Jack as a character just needs to come across as a lot more chilling, especially against Alice's character. And also, I thought it was a little bit frustrating from Harry's point of view, as his accent just jumped between a British accent and an American accent so frequently, so it really does take you out of the experience. But next up we have Chris Pine, who was so good. He kind of did everything that you wanted Harry Styles to do in terms of absolutely delivering such a chilling performance, and he is so good as a bit of a cult leader. As you can see, why people are really drawn to him, why they all want to follow him, why they all really listen to him, why they really look up to him, and how he's got a brilliant ability to really convince people to really follow him, and he's really charismatic as a result of this. So his performance really does put a chill down your spine, as he is the founder and creator of this whole victory program space, and you can really feel how sinister and dark this character is behind his eyes. I've always said that if you can really feel things from the way in which people look at you, then you really know that they are a tremendous actor. And like I said, Chris Pine just really does deliver on all of those notes. Similarly, Timothy Simmons' character of Dr. Collins is really, really chilling as well, and it's really nice to see this actor doing something really different, as he is renowned for being a bit of a comedic actor. But similarly, he absolutely puts a chill down your spine, and he is in a really intense situation with the Alice character, and if anything, I just wish we would have seen a lot more of him, as he had the potential to be such a brilliant character. Next up we have Olivia Wilde playing the best friend to Alice, and she is always dismissing everything that Alice is so desperately raising to her, and then you do find out by the end of this film why she is doing that. And it is really interesting, as at one point in time Olivia Wilde was going to play the Alice character and Florence Pugh was going to be playing the best friend, but I think this switch was done in a really good way, as like I said, Florence Pugh just absolutely owned it in this film. We've also got Gemma Chan in this movie, and she is playing the wife to Frank. I would have loved to have seen so much more from this character, as she is the only real female character that really does make you feel uncomfortable, and I just would have loved to have seen so much more from her. And finally, we've also got KiKi Layne, who does such a good performance as Margaret, and her experiences really is the trigger cause for Alice to absolutely spiral and really find out the truth for what's going on. So, you know, from a casting character's point of view, even though some of the characters and actors could have brought a little bit more to their performances, I feel like on the whole, they are pretty decent in this movie. So from a visuals perspective, this movie is actually really, really great. Like I said, it is really different to anything that you've seen before, and they do a really good job in creating this world and really bringing you into this world. So for example, you can really feel the utopian society, you can really feel how uncomfortable and sinister it is, especially for these characters when they learn the truth. The 1950s aesthetic is so believable, you really do feel like you've been transported back into the past. And similarly, all of the twist reveal sequences do look really, really good too. Even though they could have and should have done a lot more with it, I have to say from a visuals perspective, it does look really, really great. All of the interior designing looks really, really brilliant too. You really do feel like it has got that Stepford Wives, Desperate Housewives vibes to it. And all of the group sequences, gosh, they are really uncomfortable, especially like I said, when Chris Pine is doing his speeches, and you really do feel like everybody is so infatuated by him, and his presence is just so powerful. It feels like its own character in and of itself, and you really are able to understand and follow all of the rules within this space. And then when you see Alice as a character rebelling against that, it's just so powerful. And so from a visuals point of view, I have to say, don't worry darling absolutely delivers. So from a comparisons point of view, at CinemaCon, Olivia Wilde said on stage that her inspirations for this film were The Matrix and Inception, but outside of that, I feel like there are a lot of other movies and TV shows that you can absolutely compare Don't Worry Darling to. So for example, like I said before, Stepford Housewives, Desperate Housewives, What Lies Beneath, The Wicker Man, The Island, Brave New World, Last Night in Soho, and even though she absolutely isn't at Jordan Peele's level yet, I feel like there are certain aspects that you can borrow from Get Out as well. And so from a comparisons perspective, this movie sits in really great company. So overall, with Don't Worry Darling, it absolutely had the potential to be absolutely fascinating, mind-blowing, and an incredible movie. As like I said, there are trickles of a really great movie potential in there, but I just feel like they should have really rewritten the script for this film and just updated it. As after Olivia Wilde's success with Booksmart, I feel like she was probably given a little bit too much freedom, and I feel like some of the success of this movie could be down to the publicity and all of the on-set drama and the drama at the Venice Film Festival as well, which I feel like inadvertently drove a lot of excitement for this film. I was expecting so much more from this. I was really excited going into it, but I just was a little bit disappointed by the end of it. And so for all of those reasons, I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 10. Now I'd love to hear what you thought of Don't Worry Darling, so please let me know in the comment section below. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in my next video.